Spirits of French Lick is proud to introduce the Matty Gladden Bottled and Bond Bourbon. This 4-year aged bourbon is double pot distilled and non-chill filtered, and has a full-bodied mouthfeel with eucalyptus, molasses, clove, ginger, and slight citrus, as well as grains of paradise. The finish is long and reappearing on the back of the tongue with notes of pepper, tobacco leaf, and mint cream. All of our spirits are available for tasting and purchase inside the French Lick Winery and Distillery. Spirits of French Lick. Respect the grain, please enjoy responsibly, and be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram.
I only buy them at the organic, low sodium. I started the vegetable oils.
Go live. 2, we're going live, everybody. All right, welcome everybody. We're a little bit early. I'm about to share this to all the bourbon groups, and then we are going to be tasting tonight, just for everybody, Old Tub. Old Tub. You can't tag people right now. To prevent any issue, we temporarily restricted your account. Okay. Whatever. Alright, so we are live. That's just great.
Behind your big giant head.
And okay, so we are live. We just had a thing about tagging, but I guess we just tagged too many people. But this is Old Tub. Now, I'm going to share this to the group. Hey, hun.
Yes, dear.
If you get your phone, you might have to share it to the groups that are.
I don't have those groups.
Yeah, you're right. But we're starting at 9 o'clock, folks, but let me just get this, see if I can sign in right here. It should be up on the thing. We should be live. There we are. I'm watching myself. I'm going to share
Karen.
to a group. All right, I'm going to share to the Scotchy Bourbon Boys.
I'll try not to.
Post it to that. Post it. I'm going to share to Jim Beam Enthusiasms. All right. Hi, Sam. We're going to be doing it in a couple minutes. We still got a couple more minutes. We're starting at 9 o'clock, but I'm just sharing to the groups until they stop me from sharing to the groups. But we are live for this tasting. If you guys want to introduce yourselves while I'm doing this.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Xavier. I'm here with Tiny and
David.
And once again, we don't have a blind tasting going on tonight, but we have a blonde tasting going on. Behind us you have Mrs. Tiny, Rachel, and Mrs. Xavier, Karen. We also have Mrs. Dave, Lisa, back there somewhere.
She's sunk down in the cushy chair.
Okay.
All right, well, we have it saved to a good amount of bourbon groups. This is the live tasting. It is 9 o'clock. Oh, it's still 8:59, so we'll give people a little bit of time. We got a nice lineup for you tonight. Like I said, this is the newest expression from Beam Suntory, Jim Beam. It's called Old Tub. It is based off of, and now it is 9 o'clock, it's based off of Jim Beam's original, actually Jacob Beam's original first time that they produced bourbon.
Their original expression.
Yes, their original expression. So I have a bunch of different things, on it, and as far as, wow. All of a sudden I'm getting nervous on a tasting. How does that happen? I've been doing this so much, and now it usually starts off, haven't been drinking enough, so I guess I just better put something down now, all right? Okay, so it's their original expression. I've got something from 3 different places. One is the press release that Jim Beam had when they released the bourbon, and then also I've got it from the Whiskey Wash, and then also a review also that came through that gives us the history of the actual bourbon. So it's a really kind of a cool thing that they came out with. It's definitely a unique product. It's gotten some good reviews. When it initially was released, the press release read, today, the James Beam Distilling Company announced the release of Old Tub, an unfiltered 100% proof bonded bourbon inspired by the oldest brand from the Beam family. This limited edition throwback offering celebrates bourbon's true rustic character. Will be widely available in late June, and we are in obviously September, so it's widely available. Old Tub is distilled without chill filtration to showcase its unique qualities reminiscent of the world's oldest bourbons. Just like the original Old Tub recipe, the liquid skips the chill filtration process, which forces the liquid through a dense filter to remove fatty acids during distillation, resulting in a bonded bourbon with a full-bodied, well, that's a full-bodied, years ago in Bardstown, Kentucky, which is otherwise known as the bourbon capital of the world, this unique bourbon has tasting notes that include oak complemented with grain and a warm caramel. It has a lingering color of golden citrine gemstone with shades of honey and an aroma that carries initial waves of oak followed by vanilla and grain. We are talking bourbon lovers back in the time and making a delicious bourbon true to the way my ancestors intended over 140 years ago when Old Tub was first crafted, said Fred No, 7th generation master distiller. I'm excited to share this one-of-a-kind liquid with our fans and provide a bit of authenticity and nostalgia as we head towards another 225 years in the bourbon industry. Old Tub is best enjoyed neat or in a classic cocktail like Old Fashions or a brown derby, which includes bourbon, grapefruit juice, and a honey syrup. It is available for retailers nationwide for $23, which is really kind of a cool thing. Initially, when I first heard about this particular expression that they released, I wasn't sure. I enjoy Jim Beam immensely. White Label, Black, Double Oaked, all the Jim Beam products. Plus, when you get into the Knob Creeks and the Bookers and that type of thing, so I wasn't sure how it was gonna affect me. So I definitely like this bourbon. You haven't tried it yet, right?
I've not tried it. I'm ready.
David hasn't. So what we like to do here, I'll give a little bit more background as far as the tasting. Once everybody gets ready and gets their glasses full, we have a new bottle here. The girls back there have some. Are your glasses full?
No, not yet.
Well, get those glasses. Get those glasses full. Let's see how much this cooperates. I always have trouble with this on the tastings, but we like to have one new bottle to open.
I think you can open that one. Oh.
I see that we got Young Noses here.
Hey, Young Nose.
May I ask why you passed me your phone?
Yeah, so you could pay attention to what's happening in the room
Okay.
and answer the
I
comments.
like
And
it.
it's tough for me because it's
That's good.
far away and I really can't. But you can do it on my phone.
That's what I've been doing.
Have you?
Yes.
Has there been
I
any?
said hi to Young Nose.
I can read it and respond right here, but you
Yeah.
actually can respond on the phone. Did you hear that, folks? There you go. All right. Hand me a glass.
All right.
Since we are drinking.
That's good.
We are technically drinking. And here you go, David. It's great to have David. David is also a Scotchy bourbon boy. A little more than that. Okay. And has been a part of the Scotchy Bourbon Boys since December. So it's great to have you as a special guest taster. David and I talk quite frequently about whiskey and bourbon. So it's kind of exciting.
Good to have you here.
Then we talked, you guys, the girls have already introduced themselves, correct?
I believe so.
Yes.
You introduced us.
Okay. So what we're going to do tonight on our tasting.
Well, Randy says he's blocked on Facebook.
What? Well, that sucks.
How is that even a thing?
I know. He's in Randy's
he's in Facebook jail?
That's terrible.
Oh.
I wish that we could. Well, we're recording it, so we could say that's. I've been getting blocked too. It's like you do too many posts lately. They're really starting to hunker down on the posts. That's for sure. Well, I'm going to make sure I have enough. So.
Because censorship is, okay for Facebook.
Yeah, it's just kind of like you can't say too much good things. You can't use it for whatever. It's kind of changing. We have to
because we know Facebook knows what's best for us.
Yeah, exactly. Anyways, so here's the background. legend tells us that in 1795, Jacob Beam, spelled Boehm at the time, launched his family distilling dynasty by selling his first barrel of whiskey. Almost a century later, in 1892, operations had been passed down to the patriarch's great-grandsons, James and Park Beam, who named the family distillery after their best-selling bourbon brand, Old Tub. The name Old Tub was reference to the large mash tubs in which mash was mixed, cooked, and stirred by hand, a back-breaking process at the time. The contemporary label simply shows an overturned wooden mash tub with a jug and 2 empty bottles sitting atop it. Roughly 23 years after the Old Tub Distillery got its name, Prohibition was imposed, and once it was repealed 13 years later, the Beam family turned its focus to marketing the Colonel James B. Beam, or Jim Beam bourbon brand. Old Tub was still produced, but was limited to Kentucky only. Distribution was limited to Kentucky only. Because Old Tub brand was a large part of the Beam family heritage, Booker Noe agreed to sell the distillery to Fortune Brands years later, only with the stipulation that Old Tub must continue to be an active product as a result. Except for a period of time during the nadir of bourbon's popularity in the 1970s, Old Tub has been continuously distilled but available only in 375 milliliter bottles sold at the gift shop of the Jim Beam Distillery in Claremont, Kentucky, and at the Jim Beam Urban House Stillhouse in Louisville. In June of 2020, Beam Suntory, the current owner of Jim Beam Brands, made the surprise announcement that the roughly 140-year-old Tub bourbon expression would be once again distributed on a large-scale basis, but only as a limited edition product. So, though the label carries no age statement, the new release announced that today's Old Tub is aged 4 years and meets all requirements of Bottled and Bond Act of 1897. So, that brings us to the actual tasting. So everybody, if you have some Old Tub, please put it in your glass now and get ready to start the tasting. If you don't, please drink along with us. Grab anything. What else is there to do at night on a Friday night in all this time? It's like you're sitting back, relax, see what we have to say. What we do is right now we have a 5-panel with the what would you call it?
5-judge panel.
5-judge panel. Thank you. Wow. Tonight. So with the 5-judge panel, we basically each will rate a rating of 25 for 4 different categories: nose, taste, body, and finish. Now, each one of us will give our final rating, and we'll take the 5-judge panel's ratings, divide them by 5, add them up and divide them by 5 to give the final rating of Old Tub. All right? So, initially, what I've got in a couple of the different reviews, the nose first presents a strange combination of cornbread and ethanol. Nail polish remover to be more exact. Strong notes of oak and caramel are obvious once your olfactory nerves adjust to the ethanol. And orange peel becomes a prominent with each subsequent sniff. Now, whiskey wash, which I definitely have here, I'm hoping, probably have to do. The nose smells oddly similar to a fermenting vat. Sweet corn and sour mash. Caramel, hay, vanilla, and spice, straightforward but balanced and very aromatic. So let's nose this. We are using our Scotchy Bourbon Boy Glencairn glasses. If anybody's interested, they are for sale. Please ask.
By
We
Martin
do this.
Duffy.
Yes, Martin Duffy. Martin Duffy is the Glencairn glass representative of North America. Glenn Duffy is also a Scotchy Bourbon Boy. We revere Martin Duffy because Martin has hooked us up and really helped us out as far as a group and helped us get to where we are today, and he continues to help out. So cheers, Martin.
He provided these beautiful etched glasses for us. They're really classy.
Have you noticed if Martin Nash has been on?
Yes, I'm chatting with
you're
all
chatting.
sorts of peeps.
Okay, hi Martin Nash.
Hello, Martin Nash.
And Martin Nash is the person who sponsors. He's AB Fire Extinguisher Services out of South Carolina, and then he services North Carolina and also Georgia. If you need fire extinguisher services, please let him know. He has sponsored the bottle of Old Tub for us tonight. Thank you, Martin
He is a
Nash.
huge sponsor, benefactor, all-around great guy. Thanks, Martin.
Martin Nash actually sponsors my life.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Thank you, Martin.
Thanks, Martin.
All right, so the nose, we read about that. Let's start it. The way that you use a Glencairn and you nose it, hold it on by the base so you don't heat up the whiskey or the bourbon in the glass. And then what you do is you kind of swizzle it around, check out the color. This is definitely a more of a little yellow, almost like a sunflower oil kind of color. It's not a rich red color.
It was described as a citrine gemstone.
There you go. An amber.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's like urine.
And then once you have it like that, you kind of check out how it clings to the glass. This clings to the glass nicely. It's not as thick as some of the other Beam products, but it goes back into the glass with some decent legs. Then you can nose it by taking it and sniffing toward the bottom. I get like a yeasty bread. I get the fermenter kind of the cooker by the grains being cooked. I get that. Then I get a nice honey. Now I don't get the ethanol to the point that it was described by the other description. It's not that ethanol-y.
I think I was nosing it when you first poured it. The ethanol aroma was stronger. Now that it's aired a little bit, you don't sense it quite as much.
And there's a little bit of citrus, so I get the. Okay. So once you've nosed it, then you take it in your glass, and the first thing you want to do, if it's the first time you're tasting whiskey tonight, you want to taste it once, put it in your mouth, do the little Kentucky chew, but then go for a second sip so that your mouth isn't in the shock of the first time of drinking whiskey. Now, I'm not in that position right now. Man, that's good. All right. The palate. A bit of chalk and a slight heat, which dissipates quickly and leads to green anise and light butterscotch, clove, tobacco, vanilla, and an appropriate amount of that sour mash flavor that reminds you where it comes from. There's oak, honey, and grain, all balanced together, medium to long finish. I would have to agree to that. It's a medium to long finish, nice finish. Strong oak makes its presence known as soon as the liquid hits your tongue and remains dominant, but sweet cornbread soon follows along with some nice caramel. The mouthfeel is surprisingly on the thick side of medium. Now I would have to, and then it goes a little cinnamony to me too. I get a little cinnamon on the final back end. I get a really nice sweet corn. I can actually relate to the sweet cornbread. It's very close. And then it's very oaky, but there's a very rich, like a wheat bread taste in it.
You know, what I'm getting here and what you're saying, to me, it reminds me on the body as it goes to the side of your tongue and starts to head towards the finish, of like a very strong, potent malt liquor, like back in the day.
Yeah. It's definitely tastes rustic. So what are you getting? What are you getting?
Well, at the opening, it had a very strong aroma to it. And I think someone mentioned nail polish remover. That came to mind.
Okay.
But the longer it gets air, the less that is dominant.
Correct.
As far as the taste of it, I did get a touch of the honey, and with the legs, no, I did not see real distinct legs, but the entire liquid seemed to flow consistently and together.
Okay.
And but for the tongue, if I were to use that, I could say yes, it would definitely put a kick on the palate.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about girls?
Well, it smells to me like popcorn, like corn. There's a very strong corn aroma to it to me,
I get a little bit of that.
which is pretty consistent with the taste for me.
So you're kind of saying that.
Slight oak, but just very corn dominant to me. Sweet corn. Yeah.
It tastes like corn, and I definitely get the aroma of the ethanol.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Okay.
taste, the initial taste is definitely a corn caramel taste, and a lot of pepper.
Yeah, it's got a nice. It's not
A
too
little kick, but I
peppery.
wouldn't call it
I would.
like a spice or cinnamon kick, but it has a little kick.
But I would say that the pepper isn't a jalapeno pepper. It's more like a black pepper.
Yeah, black pepper.
Black
exactly.
pepper.
So a potent black pepper taste mixed in with the caramel.
But then it
or
goes
corn.
to me, in the end, it goes to like a cinnamon red hot. That is just, and then the feeling in my throat and my mouth is just as if I ate red hots. It's just that little bit of cinnamony red hot aspect of it. The body, I think, is very good on this. I wouldn't say it's the perfect body, but it is a full mouth experience, and I definitely agree with what they're trying to, what Jim Beam is trying to do with this bourbon. I really do feel that this is what bourbon, not modern day bourbon, tasted like. It's more towards what the pioneers,
Bourbon,
were drinking.
Civil War
And,
era.
and it really has a really enjoyable flavor, like you want more. And I agree on the finish. So my body, it's completely, it's not just like sometimes an explosion full, but it's in there. Where I'm tasting this bourbon, it's on my tongue, in my cheeks, on my top roof of my mouth. It might be a little short on the front part of your palate. Not on your tongue, but on the top of your mouth. There might be, for a really, when you get it, but it's just kind of there where it's missing a little bit. But otherwise, for what this bourbon costs and whatever, that's a really nice body on there, isn't it?
I think Dave described it the best in how he said where you don't see the dominant legs, but you just see a good even flow as you swish it around in your glass. Very uniform consistency. I thought you nailed it on that.
Well, thank you. As far as the pepper taste, my taste buds would tell me peppercorn, ground pepper.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I would say yes.
And with that last little sip, on a cool morning, this would certainly bring a little shot of warmth to your cheeks and your tongue.
Yeah, and you said it exactly. We all should be drinking whiskey in the morning. Cheers!
And for extra caramel taste, we could pour it over our cornflakes.
Yeah.
I've had some mornings that I felt like starting
Exactly.
out that way, but I've resisted.
Yeah,
the urge.
and then as finish, it's a very good finish for a regular level bourbon.
The finish is really good.
For what, it's as far as the standard level Jim Beam products, this finish is wonderful. There's no doubt. And not saying, it's just kind of like, it's got a much better finish than I would expect. I've tasted a lot more expensive bourbons with a less
runs
finish,
out of
that's
gas
for
on the
sure.
finish, yeah.
How about you, girls?
I actually like the finish. It had a nice body, that's for sure. The finish isn't super long, but it sweetens up for me on the finish. And it does give you a very nice Kentucky hug. Not too much, not too little.
Okay. How about Karen?
Oh, I like it. The hug isn't too long.
Right.
That it's too unbearable. I like that it, you get the taste more in your tongue longer than any place. It's enjoyable.
Okay. So, the finish. Cinnamon Red Hots, okay, there we go, take
Yeah.
center stage, and the orange peel that was present on the nose reappears in the finish. A hint of bitterness hangs in the back of the throat, likely resulting from the oak. There is a nice warmth in the throat as well as, but no real hug. Yeah, I'm warmed inside, but it would be almost like, kind of like if you were coming up to a friend in COVID and you hugged them. It's like you're not, yeah, it's not a full body hug kind
Charming.
of thing, but I'm warmed, that's for sure. So the final assessment, as a dedicated history buff, bourbon's rich and storied past made me fall in love with the whiskey as much as the juice that is being bottled today. And Old Tub provides a tangible link to the days of old. And I think that we kind of agreed with that, correct? That this is something that, you know, if you're out, you know, you're at the cabin in the morning, it would warm you up, or you're by the fireplace. Just kind of what whiskey was back then for people.
It has an old-fashioned taste.
All right. So let's start the rating. All right. So everybody knows 25 for each category. We'll go around, starting with the nose, then the taste, the body, and the finish. So let's start with the girls.
I give the nose a 3.
Of 25?
Oh, 25, we're not doing the bashing?
No, it's what
We're doing
I
25.
just explained it. Explain it to
Complicated now. Not
Jesus.
even it's complicated.
3, so that's
So a 15?
All right, so then I give it, out of 25, then I would give it has a nice nose, maybe a 20. How about that?
Okay. 3. Holy crap! I'm like, what is
She's
going
one tough
on?
judge, let me tell you.
Excuse, I wasn't really paying attention to your
I give the nose a 1.5 out of
25.
Jesus. All right. How about you, Karen?
Okay, I enjoyed the nose. I would say about a 22.
Okay.
Okay.
David?
Well, as the new judge on this particular type of thing,
Oh my God.
I would give this one a 19.
A 19. All right. I was going to give it a little bit lower score, except I'm nosing it now. And somehow I'm getting vanilla bread pudding. I don't know how I'm getting it, but that's what I'm getting now.
I think it's the aeration.
I poured another thing. Anyways, so that would raise my nose to, I'm going to give this I was going to give it a 19, but when you get into that type of smell that I'm smelling now, I'm going to give it a 23.
I get a hot nose. I get a hot, peppery nose, a hint of caramel. I give it a 20.
All right, everybody remember your scores, because
Mhm.
I'm not in the
Okay.
condition to remember scores. Everybody must add, and then someone's going to add it all together and divide by 5. All right,
I guess I can do that.
Roxy,
Yes?
your turn for the taste.
Okay, for the taste. I would give the taste a 19.
All right, Karen,
I would say about a 20.
just gives it a 20. David,
Taste-wise, with all the interactions I got in my palate with that one, I would give it a 21.
a 21. It's technically a complex taste based off the keep sipping on this. The more I sip on it, the more I get different flavors. Like this time, I'm getting the orange peel is coming out a little bit, and then there's a little bit of vanilla, and I'm liking what I'm tasting because it's a little bit more complex. So I'd have to agree with David. I give the taste a 21.
The taste for me is pretty much betrayed by the nose, which is a good thing. I thought I had a hot, strong nose with, strong caramel taste, and that's what I'm getting in the taste. So I'm going to say the taste, like the nose, is a 20.
All right, so that brings us to the body. Starting out with Roxy.
So I will go up a little bit on the body because I like the body of this one. So I will give this body a 21.
Karen.
I'm gonna say a 20.
Okay. David.
Look, the finish, the body
The
of it.
body, the thickness, the full, how much the taste fills your mouth.
Oh. I would give this one a 21.
All right. On my body, because I think it's a full body, I like the taste, it fulfills, I'm going to give the body a 23. Is anybody else commenting on what the body is?
I haven't.
Oh, no, you keep going. I'm not talking about then, I'm talking about online.
No, not so far.
The body for me does a metamorphosis. Somehow it has unloaded the corn and exchanged it for a load of malted grain. I'm tasting just an oaky to bitter grain taste on the body. So I'm going to give the body an 18.
All right. So that brings us to the finish.
So before we do the finish, Martin says, nice medium mouth feel, nice consistency throughout the mouth. So I just wanted to...
What is he rated?
He didn't rate it, that's just his...
Damn it, Martin, what you rating it?
Okay, so
Cheers,
the finish, I think my finish mirrors the nose to me, so I will give the finish a 20.
Okay. Karen?
I'm gonna say a 20 also. It doesn't have that nice, I like that nice, hot, sustained
Mm-hmm.
finish.
Okay.
With the amount of air that it's gotten exposed to, and with this finish, there is no burning, there's no discomfort, it's just pleasure. I would give this one a 22.
Excellent. I would say on this bourbon, the finish is the strongest point for me. So it's not the longest, but it's long and it's kind of like you have to still rate it against all different types of bourbon. So I will give this a 23 and a half. I'm going to give it the half because it's not a 24, 25 because you got to be long for the 24 and 25. But it's the part on this particular bourbon that I think is the strongest. So it's more than the body and more than the nose for me. So I give it a 23 and a half.
I like the finish. I think it lands on its feet from what I sense the body to be. And I would say I give it a 21.875. No, I give the finish a 22.
I just gave it a tap, okay? It was a butt up.
I give the finish a 22. It's a good finish.
Okay. So, let's add up. Who's ready to do the math?
I'm ready, so give me your scores.
My score is 90.5.
Anyone?
My score is 80.
82.
Okay, who's got the calculator?
I do, but I'm already adding up the total, so you gotta do it in your head.
Oh, gee. Well, that's 42 plus 22, which gives it a 63.
42 plus 22 is 64.
Oh,
Yes. This is
yeah.
bourbon math here.
Yeah.
So keep
Bourbon
going.
bourbon math.
Yes.
That's a 64, and I was 1 point shy of 20 on the first one.
So that's
That's 83.
An 83. And what'd you give it, dear?
An 80.
All right. Add them up.
So our average is 83.1
Okay.
Okay,
That-
83.1.
of all of us, divided by 5.
83.1? Huh?
83.
Was that what you said? 83.1?
I divided it by 5.
And it was 83.1.
So
Yeah, that's what
I
I
didn't
just
hear.
said.
I didn't hear you completely. All right, I asked like 6 times. 83.
I said yes 6 times.
He's going deaf.
Thank you, Roxy, for that. I really appreciate
You're
that.
welcome.
So that brings us to.
That's back at you for
Is English your second language?
No, I didn't hear it. I was trying to process.
that's back at you for
I can't-
serving me up for the 3 accidental 3 rating I gave initially.
You served yourself up. I just hit it out of the park, okay? Thanks, dear.
You bunted.
That's funny.
It was a bunt.
It's a bunt.
It was a bunt.
Are you sure it wasn't a 3.1? No, so folks, that concludes tonight. If anybody's interested in after the finish party that we usually have afterwards, leave comment, and we do a Facebook Messenger where whoever wants to join, we'll set it up and bring you in on Facebook Messenger, and we play a little music and drink a little bit more. So, with that said, with the end of the night for Whiskey Live and the Scotchy Bourbon Boys, please follow the Scotchy Bourbon Boys. We podcast on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. Find us there. We also have the YouTube Scotchy Bourbon Boys group. We have the Facebook Scotchy Bourbon Boys group. We have the Twitter Scotchy Bourbon Boys group and the Instagram Scotchy Bourbon Boys group. So find us on some media, follow us, and please watch or listen and subscribe to our podcast. So that brings us to another wonderful tasting of Old Tub 83.5. Good night, everybody.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for the invite to be here.
It's still alive. For some reason, it didn't end. There we
There's
go.
the end. This is the end.
My friend.
Can you turn off the